Roman 9 The Grammar of Ornament, 272, by George Eliot. The inventor of movable types says the venerable Teufelsdrockh was disbanding hired armies, cashiering most kings and senates, and creating a whole new democratic world. Has anyone yet said what great things are being done by the men who are trying to banish ugliness from our streets and our homes, and to make both the outside and inside of our dwellings worthy of a world where there are forests and flower-tressed meadows, and the plumage of birds where the insects carry lessons of colour on their wings, and even the surface of a stagnant pool will show us the wonders of iridescence and the most delicate forms of leafage. They too are modifying opinions, for they are modifying men's moods and habits, which are the mothers of opinions, having quite as much to do with their formation as the responsible father reason. Think of certain hideous manufacturing towns, where the piety is chiefly a belief in copious perdition, and the pleasure is chiefly gin. The dingy surface of wall pierced by the ugliest windows, the staring shop fronts, paper hangings, carpets, brass and gilt mouldings, and advertising placards, have an effect akin to that of malaria. It is easy to understand that with such surroundings there is more belief in cruelty than in beneficence, and that the best earthly bliss attainable is the dulling of the external senses, for it is a fatal mistake to suppose that ugliness which is taken for beauty will answer all the purposes of beauty. The subtle relation between all kinds of truth and fitness in our life forbids that bad taste should ever be harmless to our moral sensibility or our intellectual discernment, and more than thoughts, it is probable that fine musical harmonies have a sanative influence over our bodily organization. It is also probable, p. 273, that just coloring and lovely combinations of lines may be necessary to the complete well-being of our systems, apart from any conscious delight. Them a savage may indulge in discordant chuckles and shrieks and gutturals, and think that they please the gods, but it does not follow that his frame would not be favourably wrought upon by the vibrations of a grand church organ. One sees a person capable of choosing the worst style of wallpaper become suddenly afflicted by its ugliness under an attack of illness, and if an evil state of blood and lymph usually goes along with an evil state of mind, who shall say that the ugliness of our streets, the falsity of our ornamentation, the vulgarity of our upholstery, have not something to do with those bad tempers which breed false conclusions? On several grounds it is possible to make a more speedy and extensive application of artistic reform to our interior decoration than to our external architecture. One of these grounds is that most of our ugly buildings must stand. We cannot afford to pull them down, but every year we are decorating interiors afresh, and people of modest means may benefit by the introduction of beautiful designs into stucco ornaments, paper hangings, draperies, and carpets. Fine taste in the decoration of interiors is a benefit that spreads from the palace to the clerk's house with one parlour. All honour then to the architect who has zealously vindicated the claim of internal ornamentation to be a part of the architect's function, and has laboured to rescue that form of art which is most closely connected with the sanctities and pleasures of our hearths from the hands of uncultured tradesmen. All the nation ought at present to know that this effort is peculiarly associated with the name of Mr. Owen Jones, and those who are most disposed to dispute with the architect about his colouring must at least recognise the high artistic principle which has directed his attention to coloured ornamentation as a proper branch of architecture. One monument of his effort in this way is his Grammar of Ornament, of which a new and cheaper edition has just been issued. The one point in which it differs from the original and more expensive edition, viz. The reduction in the size of the pages, the amount of matter and number of plates are unaltered, is really an advantage. It is now a very manageable folio, and, when the reader is in a lounging mood, may be held easily on the knees. It is a magnificent book, and those who know no more of it than the title should be told that they will find in it a pictorial history, p. 274, of ornamental design from its rudimentary condition, as seen in the productions of savage tribes, through all the other great types of art, Egyptian, Assyrian, ancient Persian, Greek, Roman, Byzantine, Arabian, Moresque, Mohammedan, Persian, Indian, Celtic, medieval, Renaissance, Elizabethan and Italian. The letterpress consists first of an introductory statement of fundamental principles of ornamentation. Principles, says the author, which will be found to have been obeyed more or less instinctively by all nations in proportion as their art has been a genuine product of the national genius, and secondly of brief historical essays, some of them contributed by other eminent artists, presenting a commentary on each characteristic series of illustrations with the useful appendage of bibliographical lists. The title Grammar of Ornament is so far appropriate that it indicates what Mr. Owen Jones is most anxious to be understood concerning the object of his work, namely, that it is intended to illustrate historically the application of principles, and not to present a collection of models for mere copyists. The plates correspond to examples in syntax not to be repeated parrot-like, but to be studied as embodiments of syntactical principles. There is a logic of form which cannot be departed from in ornamental design without a corresponding remoteness from perfection. Unmeaning irrelevant lines are as bad as irrelevant words or clauses that tend no whither, and as a suggestion toward the origination of fresh ornamental design, the work concludes with some beautiful drawings of leaves and flowers from nature, that the student tracing in them the simple laws of form, which underlie an immense variety in beauty, may the better discern the method by which the same laws were applied in the finest decorative work of the past, and may have all the clearer prospect of the unexhausted possibilities of freshness which lie before him. If refraining from mere imitation, he will seek only such likeness to existing forms of ornamental art as arises from following like principles of combination,